Feedback. Right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the September 2025 edition of the Township of Muskoka Lakes Planning Committee meeting. I'm going to call the meeting to order at, no, that's all right, at 9 o'clock. I will confirm that we have a quorum. In fact, we have our complete committee here. We have the CAO, the Deputy Clerk, Director of Development Services, Environmental Sustainability, and other members of staff. We have advised the public of the input on the agenda, and that is through the standard township email. Today's meeting is being live streamed and recorded on the Township of Muskoka Lakes website and YouTube channel. By participating in the open meeting today, you are consenting to your image, voice, and comments being recorded and posted online. We had one item added via the supplementary agenda, and that is a planning justification report associated with item 7C1. And I ask committee, do we have anybody with a pecuniary interest on any of the topics on the agenda today? Right. And so seeing none, we can get right into the agenda. Our first item on the agenda is a public delegation by Ms. McCaw. Is she not here? She's joining on Zoom. Very well. We'll wait for a minute. And the topic of her discussion is the launch date of the short-term rental licensing bylaw.
Let me just. Good morning, everybody. Thank you
Good morning.
for allowing me to speak this morning.
Ms. McCaw, you have, if you could start with your name and address, that's our protocol, and you have 5 minutes.
Right. Jayne McCaw, 90 Joseph Street, Port Carling. Okay. Today I'd like to just give you a report on my stats from my owners to the licensing. We've been in touch with them 2 times. About the upcoming licensing. We have 125 owners in the Muskoka Lakes. 10 have already delisted. We have 25 of them who have asked us to take us up on our offer to do their applications. 2 are undecided, and the rest, which is about 90 owners, have not replied to our information. Just want to give you some stats. Last year, we had 580 bookings, of which 388 were Jayne's Cottages bookings, and 192 were the Villas of Muskoka, which is right beside Touchstone. It's a townhouse development on Lake Muskoka, and it provides short-term rentals. Of the bookings that were made over the course of the year, we have 31 in October, 32 in November, 19 in December. January, we have 51 bookings, 52 in February, 64 in March, 64 in April, 75 in May, 75 in June. So people are making bookings in June for the summer. July, even 55 last-minute bookings, and then August, 46. You can see how the distribution of bookings is. If we look at the Jayne's business only, our average stay is 15.3 days. So we are unlike many other short-term rental companies because we get the long stays. And 31% of our owners rent for more than 28 days to one party. Those owners want to wait until they get that long-term booking. Why do they want to wait? Because there's fewer turnovers in families, so their cottage is better cared for, and there's also less of a CRA risk with HST taxation. So a lot of our owners will not accept short-term bookings until they get that long-term booking. I wanted to show you some stats. Unfortunately, I can't present it, but an example, Postcard from Rosso was booked on April 1st for $132,000 for a 17-night booking. That was its first booking for the year. Birches on Joe was booked for the first time for 28 nights for $72,000. Top of the Morning on Island Park Road, 56 nights for $92,000. So those owners are looking for those bookings, and then they may supplement short-term rentals. My point is our owners may not be interested in getting, first of all, our conclusions are we are going to lose rental inventory. Guests are booking late. And what we're going to happen is if we're losing rental inventory, we are going to lose guests to other areas because they're not going to book in the Muskoka Lakes. They can't get a booking if we don't have the right inventory for them. We've only got a quarter of our inventory. Those guests are going to go to Kawarthas, or they're going to go wherever they can get a booking. And it's going to be a major economic loss to the Muskoka Lakes. It's just that these rentals that I'm getting, Moonlight Serenade, April 23rd, $90,000 for a 30-day booking. And then they might book 1 or 2 weeks after that. But the owners want to keep their cottages open and available for that long-term booking. And then they'll maybe add another 1 or 2 weeks in short-term bookings. So 31% of my owners wait for a long-term booking before accepting short-term. So basically, the other thing I wanted to bring up very quickly is the fact that your particulars of the application process require an expiration date and a manufacture date on the smoke alarm. That is not realistic to have to go up to cathedral ceilings and pull down smoke alarms and carbon monoxide alarms. That is very onerous, and it's basically impossible. And I just don't think for something that is working well with rentals, it should not be asked of the owners. That's my 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. You're right on. Ms. McCaw, we later in the agenda, we will be discussing what comes out of this session. So thank you for that, but I will turn it over to committee for questions. Councillor Nishikawa, Councillor Zavitz.
I'm sorry, I don't know, he's not here, sorry. I don't know if my question would be, I'll just say that it would be to Jayne. I didn't quite understand the comment about the smoke alarms, and I don't know what the request is needed for that. I just.
Ms. McCaw?
Yes, it's a new particular that was added to the application process the last time it was, so it's updated. The first round of the requirements last year did not include this requirement. It says smoke and carbon monoxide alarms, must include the manufacturer's date or expiration date. So you need to detail where all the smoke and carbon monoxide alarms are, and you need to pull them down from the ceiling and find out what the expiration date is.
Thank you.
Councillor Zavitz, then Councillor Roberts.
Thank you, and good morning. Through you to Jayne, good morning. I wonder if you could distill your presentation down to what your ask or asks are of us today. Thank you.
Great.
Ms. McCaw?
My ask of you is to consider having the start date be either June 1st or July 1st. It just does not make sense that if it is starting on June 1st or July 1st, owners have the choice to sell, they have the choice to change their plans or accept a rental up to that date when they need to renew or start their license. Many owners may not get, if they get a 30-day rental, they may not get, be interested in a short-term rental. So they don't want to pay the $1,000 in December. And so when it renews in June, it allows those owners all the way until June of 2027 to decide what their family plans are, or if they're going to sell the cottage, or if they're going to, do something else. So it just gives them a lot more time for planning. And it also gives them more time to get reservations. to see what their summer is going to bring. And I believe that if you're asking for, with all of the distribution of bookings happening in March, April, May, June, July, and you don't get your first booking until May or June, you're not going to want to get a license and spend that in December for something that you don't know is going to happen. And you may have to change your plans. You may have to sell. There may be something going on in your family that you don't want to spend that $1,000 in December when you don't have a license.
Councilor Zabit, supplemental.
Thank you. Supplemental. I guess to Jennifer, am I correct to understand that the implementation date for short-term rental for 2026 is not January 1st, it's May? So anyway, for clarification for the audience and the public, to understand what it is she's really asking for.
Director Huff.
Thank you. Through the chair to Councillor Zabit. So the regulations currently require that if an operator intends to operate in 2026, they need to make an application by the end of this year. And then the license that is issued is good for a year from the date that the license is issued. So that's number one. And then number two, there is a specific provision in the licensing bylaw that doesn't take effect until May of 2026. And that's the one that has the summer rental restrictions.
Councilor Roberts and Councilor Burry.
Thank you, Chair. And now I have two questions. One to Director Huff. So if I don't submit an application by January 1st or whatever, and I want to rent in February, I cannot send an application in to rent?
Director Huff.
Thank you, through the chair. So you can submit an application in December or in January of 2026 or at any point in 2026. The only caveat is that you do run the risk of if you don't have a license and you're operating, the licensing bylaw is in effect. And so presumably one hopes that people will choose to get a license before they are actually operating.
A supplemental on that, just for clarification. But why wouldn't, if we have a registered application and intent to do it, it would suffice and they wouldn't be fined for not having a license because it's in the works?
Director Huff.
Certainly, through the chair, in that scenario, yes, I think that would be something that the enforcement staff would take
Oh, I'm
into
sorry.
consideration.
Yeah, I shouldn't be. Okay. So I gave a solution. I want to ask the other question to the delegate. Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say, committee,
Yeah, sorry.
let's direct most of our questions to
Yes.
the delegate because we have time this afternoon to ask questions.
Thank you, Chair. So
One more question then.
So it's my understanding that your clientele don't want to put up the $1,000 for the licensing until they're sure they have customers. Is that correct?
Ms. McCaw.
And that's what's really, or else they're not going to rent.
Well, it's not only the $1,000, it's the whole process. It's not exactly easy to go through the process. We're charging $300 to our owners to do it. There's a number of things you have to do: site maps, floor plans, etc. So it's not just the $1,000. It's going to take hours to do the program. So why do it if you don't need to do it and you get a 30-day rental and then you don't have a CRA risk of getting HST tax?
Thank you.
Councilor Burry.
So I don't really have a question, but it seems pretty simple to me. You need to have a license before you do the rental. Our arbitrary, you need to bid by this date, seems to be fictitious.
Councilor Burry, we will have a chance to
Yeah,
discuss this later today.
I think we're down a rabbit hole. Sorry.
Very well. Any other questions? Mayor Kelly.
Thank you, and through you. Good morning, Jayne. You and I had a conversation about this a week or two ago, and I really want to pick up from there. If I'm understanding correctly, the primary obstacle to moving forward on the timeline and with the program that we've already got in place and have rolled out is $1,000 a year annual. It's a one-time annual licensing, not one time, sorry, it's an annual licensing fee of $1,000. And the issue, if I understand correctly, is that these places may or may not decide until long after the requirement to be licensed, whether or not they want to be in the business. But I take a look at $1,000 one-time annual fee, and I have to wonder if that isn't rather paltry compared to other investments that they're making in order to get themselves on the Airbnb or on the short-term rental market. They must be investing a fair chunk of money in photography in order to promote their properties properly. They must be signing up with rental agencies such as yours and living up to the standards that you expect in terms of linens and fittings and whatever else comes with being affiliated with the Jayne's Cottages brand. And I got to believe that $1,000 annual fee is probably the smallest check they'll write out of all of the other costs that they're going to incur in order to get themselves a short-term rental.
So
Ms.
thank
McCaw?
you. Thank you. All I would say is somebody once said, you don't go and get a dog license 6 months before you get a dog. You know, it is a task to go through and you don't know what's going to happen in 6 months. You know, I'm looking at a property. It got a rental on May 5th, its first rental of the summer for 31 days at $73,000. So that property, if you told me that it had to be licensed on January 1st and they got their first rental on May 5th for 31 days, that $1,000 is down the drain. And because they got their long-term rental, and it is an onerous task. I don't know if you've seen the site maps that you have to draw and that sort of thing. It's not something like people change their mind. People don't make decisions in December when what they're doing in the summer. People die, people want to sell. Why do you want to throw $1,000 away when you don't know what you're doing 6 months later?
Councillor Kent?
Thank you, and through you to Jayne. Jayne, just supplementing what Mayor Kelly said, I find it hard when, you know, the first rental you mentioned, I think was 21 days for $90,000 or something. I do find it hard, given those kind of numbers, whether you get it or not, that $1,000 is a make or break for that audience. But I'd certainly like to hear that. But number two, I think the application process is onerous maybe in year one, but assuming you stay and become a rental, you're set up. There might be some additions each year, but the process that you said you're going to charge $300 for is really a one-time onerous process, in my opinion. So I'd like your thoughts on those 2 points.
Ms. McCaw?
Yeah, there was a CBC report in Halliburton that talked about fees and the onerous process of the license, and 50% of their inventory has disappeared. All the operators there are in trouble. We've already lost 10. We've had like 75 owners who have not gotten back to us because they don't know whether they're going to want to register. It's not necessarily the $1,000. It's like we have owners that just don't agree with it. And, you know, I really strongly believe that, you know, there should be more attention paid to owners because they are providing tourism assets. Every dollar spent on accommodations, $2 gets put into the community. So if I've got a guest that's spending $70,000 on accommodations, they're putting $140,000 into the community. So losing 50% of my listings is going to be a huge economic drop when, you know, 2/3 of my listings or probably 3/4 of my bookings are after January 1st. So all of those bookings would be gone because we're not allowed to advertise without a license. And those guests are going to make vacation plans elsewhere, where they can make vacation plans and take their money elsewhere. And so then those areas that are getting those guests to spend their money, that's what's going to happen.
My only supplement,
Supplementary.
Jayne.
Councillor Kent?
My only supplement, Jayne, is I think the data that you're suggesting needs to be tempered by the fact that the economy has fallen off the edge, and it's very difficult to say, well, how much is related to the fact that they have a license versus the fact that everybody's economic positions, lots of people who have second home properties or use them as investment properties are in a position where they may be required to sell anyway. It doesn't have anything to do with our short-term licensing process. So, I mean, that's just an aside.
Mayor Kelly.
Thank you. And through you, I just want to go back to your earlier comment about not getting a dog license before you get a dog. I'm assuming that when you started Jayne's Cottages, you had to have invested in an office, a phone number, a brand, some website advertising and other advertising. These are businesses. These short-term rental opportunities are income creating businesses. And to me, making, frankly, a minor investment of $1,000, most of which is focused on the peaceful occupation of neighbors. Secondarily, the safe occupation by the renters who know that they've got a high standard of fire safety built into it, that we have a septic system that's up to the challenge of a constant inflow of new people. I got to believe that $1,000 is a pretty small investment in a business that can generate the kinds of numbers that I know and I believe have been generated by short-term rentals in the Muskoka region in the last 5 years. I'm also going to pick up on something Councillor Kent said. There are many, many factors. You mentioned the CRA changing the status or deductibility of HST. There's a much bigger decision by the CRA recently that reclassifies private residences into commercial properties and makes them ineligible for capital gains treatment. That's a huge pushback.
Mayor Kelly,
Anybody.
is the question then, are there other economic?
Yeah, the question is, and it's a comment, it's in response to an allegation or suggestion that somehow $1,000 was tripping these people over the edge. $1,000 is not the issue at all, as far as I'm concerned. There are many, many other issues. And the effort that we've gone to, quite frankly, to keep the price even modest at $1,000 to cover our cost, I just refuse to believe, and I will make other suggested recommendations as to what might be causing a change in the market that you've served obviously very well over the last few years.
Ms.
Yeah.
McCaw, what else has changed?
The only thing I can say is I'm not really here to talk about the $1,000. I'm okay with the $1,000. I'm here to talk about the June date, because people should be renewing their license when they know they have a rental. So I'm talking about the June or July date. That's number one. Number two is, you say it doesn't matter and these sort of things, $1,000, whatever, but I can only tell you what's happening in the Halliburtons, and what's happening in my own stats is that many owners have not gotten back to me. So that's what's happening. That's real. We're losing inventory.
Councillor Edwards, question?
Yes, this is the staff. Why aren't we taking it as?
Councillor Edwards, could we keep that until this afternoon?
Pardon?
Could we keep that
Well,
question for
like,
this
because it
afternoon?
would maybe help Jayne, because she may not be here this afternoon. And that, but why aren't we starting it on January the 1st, like most licenses? Business licenses were always the first of the year, and then you knew, rather than one's in May, one's in June, one's in, and that it'd be so simple to just make it one date from the start of the year. Then
Director Huff?
the customers would know what their $1,000 going toward.
Thank you. Through the chair. So I think my understanding is there's a few reasons. So originally the bylaw was to take effect January of this year, but the intent was always for the licenses to be available for 1 year from the date of issue, recognizing that it can take a variable amount of time to issue the license. And then the second thing is that to do it that way, it means that there'll always be licenses coming in for renewal or licenses coming in for an application, rather than with one licensing officer funneling 800 licenses into a month of time that would be difficult to manage with the staff that we have. And so this allows people the flexibility to apply for a license when they want to, in advance of them operating their license, their premises.
Councilor Edwards?
Are we still offering a discount if they sign up early so they can save money? They don't have to pay the full $1,000?
Director Huff?
Yes, the discount, the 20% discount is available until if you get the license application in by end of September 30th. Thank you.
Committee, any other questions? Ms. McCaw? All right, thank you very much. Ms. McCaw, thank you for your presentation. Well done, 5 minutes. And I think we've had a very thorough set of questions for you that have helped us understand the situation. So when we discuss it later today, I'm sure you can you can watch us.
Okay, thank you. Have a
Thank you
good
very
day.
much.
Bye. Bye.
Yep. All right, our next item is we're moving into concurrent bylaw amendment and consent applications. And for those in the audience, a consent application is an application for severance. And the first one is B23/24/25 ML for a zoning bylaw amendment 2025 on Falkenburg Road. And Ms. Walker is going to take us through the report.
Thank you very much, Chair Bosenworth, and good morning, everyone. The first applications to be heard are consent applications B23/24/25 ML and zoning bylaw amendment application ZBA 2025 in the name of MANDLEY. The subject lands are known municipally as 2346 Falkenburg Road. Next slide, please. So in front of you on the screen is the proposed consent sketch, and I would direct committee's attention to this consent sketch as well on page 23 of the agenda package. The purpose and effect of the consent application is to sever the subject lot to create 2 new lots, so there'll be 3 lots total. The retained lot contains a dwelling and accessory structures. The severed lots are intended to have residential development in the future. However, no specific development is proposed at this time. Next slide, please. The purpose and effect of zoning bylaw amendment ZBA 20/25 is to provide an exemption from the rural RU1 zone minimum lot frontage and area requirements. The application would also provide an exemption from the provision that permits only 1 lot to be created by consent after October 13th, 1992. Next slide, please. Notice of this public meeting under the Planning Act was circulated 22 days in advance of this meeting, and 5 comments have been received to date. Comments were received from Nick Snyder, the Township's Chief Building Official, Matt Veach, the Township's Development and Transportation Engineering Coordinator, Brian Morrell, the Township's Fire Chief, Sarah Campbell, Planner for the District of Muskoka, and Bell Canada. These comments were all circulated to committee prior to today's meeting, and no concerns were raised. Next slide, please. Staff have prepared a detailed report for committee's consideration. Since the publishing of the staff report and recommendation of staff have been provided additional information from the applicant's agent explaining that altering the lot line between the retained lot and severed lot 2 would result in an existing well for the retained lot being located on severed lot 2 and would require a new well to be installed on the retained lot. The applicant's agent has, however, agreed to increasing the frontage on severed lot 1 to 470 feet, which would mean the frontage of severed lot 2 would be reduced to 492 feet. Staff are comfortable with the proposed changes given the location of the well in this situation. Staff have recommended that both the consent application and zoning bylaw amendment application be approved and have amended the resolution in front of committee to reflect the amended frontages. The applicant will provide an updated consent sketch between now and the council meeting. Staff have no further comments at this time, but I'm happy to assist with any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Walker. The applicant's agent, I believe, is Mr. Fauner. The real Mr. Fauner. Good morning. Yes. I think you know the rules.
Yes, thank you very much, Chair Bosenworth. Stephen Fauner, Northern Vision Planning Limited, 109 Meadow Heights Drive, Bracebridge, Ontario, P1L1A4. I'm here representing Kim Manley, who is here. We also have Bill Rothdeutsch, who's here as well, and his son and Kim's daughter. They're the ones that plan to build the property. Not sure which lot at this point in time. It may end up on the lot. So anyways, I'd like to thank staff for their thorough report on this, and glad that we showed some flexibility in the end. Certainly there was some information that came to light to me, that was quite concerning about that one particular lot. But I'll just quickly go through my presentation and now I'll discuss the slight change. So go ahead, next. I don't think I need to go through the lot sizes. That's going to change a little bit for severed lot 1 anyways. Next. And the severance sketch, I think we've seen. I'm going to come back to that later. Next. So this is the frontage of severed lot 1. It's actually on the left-hand side here. Next. And this is looking into the property, and as staff identified as well, there's quite a number of building locations on this property, as well as severed lot 2. Next. 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 And next, these are all severed lot 1. And this is a driveway that's on the east side of severed lot 1 that was put in for some logging purposes. And this driveway can be used in the future as access to severed lot 1. Next. So this is the frontage for severed lot 2, which is on the left-hand side. Next. And this is looking into the property from Falkenburg Road. It's slightly low in the front there, but definitely rises up. And there's, again, considerable number of building locations on this property. Next. And this is looking in from the actual creek that we'll be talking about in a moment is actually in the foreground. You see a little depression in amongst the vegetation there, but the property is really off to the left. And again, there's lots of building sites. Next. And this is the frontage for the retained lot. Next. And this is the dwelling on the property. Next. And I'll just point out in this particular picture, there's straight ahead is the garage. To the left is a barn, which is going to be torn down. A lot of this material and debris and so forth has been removed from the property, and the bylaw officer has been out and apparently has been happy with what's been removed because it, quite frankly, was very messy before. Next. And this is again the garage and the barn on the left. Next. So PPS certainly allows lot creation. I'll just go through quickly. I think we kind of know the issues on this, and I think we'll carry on to the staff concerns next. And go ahead next. And next. And I want to say here that the lot sizes are compatible with those in the area and along Falkenburg Road. There's a number of original 100-acre lots that have got 3 lots along the front. Next. So coming to the staff concerns, and I'm quite happy to hear this morning that Caitlin is fine with proposed changes. I'll be honest with you, I was kind of ready for battle this morning, but it doesn't seem to be quite necessary. So, but anyways, I just want to note a few things here, though. That the official plan requirement for the frontages and areas that are noted, it's not a shall situation, so it's not mandatory. It says should. So there should be some flexibility there. The one lot as proposed is only deficient by 10%, and it was 1 out of the 3. Some municipalities would call that a minor variance, but anyways, we're going to be changing that, and we're actually going to be more closer to the requirements. The overall frontage of the property complies. I think that's important to note that the overall from one end to the other complies. And I think there should be some flexibility in where you put the lot lines. The creek needs to go with the retained lot. I know Bracebridge has a policy that says that any natural features cannot be fragmented and it needs to go on one property. And I've had to deal with that on one on Golden Beach Road right now. We've had to change the whole configuration because of that. But it does make sense to do that. Next. And there will be an impact if, we really need to keep the one lot line where it is. There would be an impact on fencing, and as well noted, the well is actually 5 feet from the one fence line into the property. It's only 25 feet from the road.
Connor, you're coming up to your 5 minutes.
Okay. So we're proposing that the frontage be increased to 143.2 meters. Next. So I just want to point out, well, location is right here. So this line, really have to say, we're proposing to move this line a bit, bring it closer. Required 350 meters from staff. Staff seem to be fine with that. Next. And just a picture of the well, which Caitlin had next.
Can we wrap it up, please?
Yep, we're good. Conclusions. Good. So in my opinion, it does conform to the official plan and is consistent with the PPS.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Terrific. Do we have anybody wishing to speak in favor of this application? Anybody online at all? Very well. Committee, over to you for questions to the staff or the applicant. This the first one?
And then it'll be amended.
Isn't this the amendment?
No, well, you have to read the main motion and then they're gonna amend these
Right.
ones.
Okay, I'm getting challenged early in the day. This is a long one. Moved. Councillor Roberts.
Did we, maybe I missed it, but did we ask if anyone was in the audience that wanted to act against, speak against this?
We did.
application? We did? Okay.
Okay. All right, moved by Councillor Burry, seconded by Councillor Nishikawa. Be it resolved that consent application B 232425 ML be approved subject to the following conditions. That the certificate of consent under section 53(42) of the Planning Act, along with the transfer and preparation, be prepared by a solicitor and shall be given to the Secretary Treasurer within 2 years from the date the notice of this decision was given. 2, that one hard copy of a digital copy of a registered reference plan of the severed lands prepared by an Ontario land surveyor be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer, which corresponds with the applications as submitted. A draft copy of the reference plan shall be provided by the Secretary Treasurer for review and approval prior to the registration on title. 3, the confirmation be received that the township is satisfied with the severed lots and retained lots are satisfactory for on-site sewage disposal and that any problems identified with an existing sewage system be corrected to the satisfaction of the township. 4, that the availability of the entrance permits be confirmed by the township's operational services department for the severed and retained lots. 5, the cash in lieu of parkland be dedicated to the township in the amount of 5% of the assessed value of the newly created vacant lots or the entire lands, whichever is less. 6, the severed lot 2 and retained lot be made subject to site plan control. 7, that a rezoning application be approved to address rural lot creation requirements, including minimum lot frontage and lot area. 8, that the frontage of the severed lot be increased to a minimum of 492 feet. And do we read the other one now or do we?
Yeah, then we have an amended one. Yes.
All right. So as you heard from Ms. Walker, there are amendments to this, and that has to do with the width of the lot. This one says 492, and I think this one changes it. Moved by Councillor Burry, seconded by Councillor Nishikawa. Be it resolved that the resolution be amended to replace the condition 8 with the following wording. That the front of the severed lot 1 be increased to 465 feet and the frontage of severed lot 2 be decreased to 492. So we got a few more feet there. Do I call it on the original and the amended or just?
You vote on the amended first and.
All right.
And then you.
Very well.
vote
Same
on the
process.
amendment.
So committee, any discussion on this? So all those in favor of the amendment? Thank you. So all those in favor of the the original motion as amended? Okay, thank you very much.
Some of them.
Right, now we have a zoning bylaw resolution.
Those are-
This one has to be amended as well.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so same process here. I'll read the original one as published. Moved by Councillor Edwards, seconded by Councillor McIntyre. Be it resolved, the zoning bylaw amendment application ZBA 20/25 be approved subject to the following revision. That the draft bylaw be revised to increase the frontage of severed lot 1 to a minimum of 492 feet, along with any other necessary revisions to the frontage and areas. And revision to that bylaw is moved by Councillor Burry, seconded by Councillor Nishikawa. Be it the resolve that the resolution be substituted with the following. That zoning bylaw amendment application ZBA 20/25 be approved subject to the following revision. that the draft bylaw be revised to increase the frontage of severed lot 1 to a minimum of 465 feet and decrease the frontage of severed lot 2 to 492 feet, along with any other necessary revisions to the areas that the Schedule 2 be revised to reflect the changes. So any discussion? All those in favor of the amendment? And all those in favor of the original as amended? Thank you very much. Our next item is Report Plan 2025-111, and this is B 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 33, 32, 33, and 25, ZBA 28, 25. And that is Ms. Crowder. Welcome, Ms. Crowder.
Thank you, Chair Bosenworth. The next applications to be heard, just to reiterate, are concurrent consent applications B25 through to 33, 25 ML, and zoning bylaw amendment applications ZBA 2825 in the names of 693170 Ontario Limited and BATTAGLINI. The subject lands on the west are known municipally as 1016 Eldo Lane, and the lands on the east do not have a municipally assigned address. Next slide, please. I would direct committee's attention to the submitted consent sketches on pages 60 and 61 of the agenda package. A total of 9 consent severance applications, B25 through 33, have been submitted. The purpose and effect of these applications is to create 4 new waterfront residential lots and to grant rights of way over the proposed new lots. Next slide, please. The purpose of consent severance applications B25, 26, 25 ML is to create 2 new waterfront residential lots, severed lots number 1 and 2, on the lands known as 1016 Eldo Lane, which front onto Hesners Lake. In applications B27, 28, 29, 25 ML, the applicant proposes to grant rights of way over proposed severed lots numbers 1 and 2 and retained lot number 1, as shown on the screen before you. Next slide, please. The purpose of consent severance applications B30, 31, 25 ML is to create 2 new waterfront residential lots known as severed lots numbers 3 and 4 on the lands directly abutting 1016 Eldo Lane to the east, which front onto Hesners Lake as well. In consent applications B32, 33, 25 ML, the applicant proposes to grant rights of way over severed lots numbers 3 and 4, as shown on the screen before you. Next slide, please. I would direct committee's attention to the submitted zoning sketch on page 62 of the agenda package. The purpose and effect of the submitted zoning bylaw amendment application is to rezone the lands in the ownership of 693170 Ontario Limited, which is the lot on the east, from open space private OS2 to waterfront residential no constraints WR1 and environmental protection EP1. The purpose of ZBA 2825 is also to implement the recommendations made within the scoped environmental impact study and addendum prepared by SLR Consulting and dated April 17th, 2025 and July 29th, 2025 respectively. Next slide, please. Notice of this public meeting under the Planning Act was circulated 23 days in advance of this meeting, and 39 comments have been received to date. Comments were received from Nick Snyder, the Township's Chief Building Official, Rochelle Story, the Township's Land and Agreements Coordinator, and Ryan Murrell, the Township's Fire Chief, all stating no objection to the applications. Comments were received from Matt Veach, the Township's Development and Transportation Engineering Coordinator, stating that civic addressing changes may be required. If required, address changes should be completed at no cost to the Township and to the satisfaction of the Township's Operational Services Department. Comments were received from Sarah Campbell, planner for the District Municipality of Muskoka, stating that district staff would not be opposed to the approval of the applications, provided that the appropriate development control techniques are used to implement the recommendations included in the scoped environmental impact study and addendum. 34 letters of opposition have been received to date in response to the applications. These letters express concerns surrounding several different themes, including a historic planning approval, recreational carrying capacity, environmental constraints, preserving lake character, and overall overdevelopment. It is staff's intention to bring a subsequent report to Planning Committee at a later date wherein these comments will be considered and explored in greater detail prior to staff making a recommendation on these files. However, I do want to explore a couple of these topics in some detail today, given the significant public interest. To start, the subject lands indicated with the star on the screen have a site-specific bylaw associated with them, known as Bylaw 2003-188. This bylaw is the result of consent application B10303 and zoning bylaw amendment application ZBA 7903, both in the names of Nesbitt, which were approved in 2004 to permit the transfer of development rights from the lot indicated with the star to create a new lot on the north side of the lake indicated with the red arrows. The lot from which development rights were transferred from is the lot proposed to be severed and rezoned through the applications today. Bylaw 2003-188 rezoned the lands with the star from waterfront residential, WR4, to open space private, OS2, includes an exemption which stipulates that the only permitted use on the lands shall be conservation, and includes maximum dock length and width restrictions of 32 feet and 8 feet respectively. At the time of the 2003 applications, the District of Muskoka was operating under a different water quality monitoring model, which classified Hesners Lake as at capacity in terms of water quality. The historical WR4 zone is indicative of that status. At that time, the District of Muskoka confirmed that the subject lands were counted as 2 lots in the water quality model, and that a transfer for development rights had been done before on lakes at capacity. On this basis, the district was supportive of the applications, as were township staff. The water quality model has since changed, and the district no longer classifies lakes as at capacity. Instead, lakes will be added to Schedule E2 of the Muskoka official plan if they have experienced a water quality indicator, as detailed in the district official plan. Hesners Lake is not included on Schedule E2 of the Muskoka official plan, which lists lakes that are considered to be vulnerable. Next slide, please. The next item is recreational carrying capacity. Hesners Lake is listed within Table D of the Township's 2023 official plan as a water body that exceeds recreational carrying capacity. Recreational carrying capacity, or RCC, is defined as an estimate of the number of property owners and watercraft that can utilize the surface of a lake, bay, or river while still enjoying the amenity provided by the water body. RCC is a measure of social carrying capacity rather than environmental capacity, and is therefore intended to augment the lake system health policies of the Township's 2023 official plan. Section E7F of the Township's 2023 official plan states that the creation of new lots is not permitted on a water body listed in Section E7D, Table D, which is on the screen before you, that exceeds the RCC. Section E7, being the RCC policy set of the Township's 2023 official plan, was under appeal at the time of the application's submission. Following the clergy principle, applications shall be compared against the policy set in full force and effect at the time the applications were made. Therefore, staff's analysis will be unable to consider RCC policies of the Township's 2023 official plan. Next slide, please. The next item is environmental constraints. As detailed in the staff report, the submitted EIS and addendum note a number of environmental features on the subject lands, such as a watercourse, rattlesnake habitat, type 1 fish habitat, potential habitat for species at risk, and wetlands. The consultants recommend a number of measures to ensure the protection of these features and their ecological functions. The materials submitted to date implement some of these measures, but not all. Staff recommend that the application materials be updated to reflect all of the recommendations made by the environmental professionals prior to the applications returning to committee. Next slide, please. Staff have prepared a detailed report for committee's consideration. Staff recommend that decisions on consent applications B 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 25 ML, and zoning bylaw amendment application ZBA 2825 be deferred so that public and agency comments can be received, and that staff be directed to undertake a review and analysis of the submissions with a view to providing a recommendation to Planning Committee on the applications. And that, as part of the deferral, the following item be provided. Revised application materials which address the recommendations made within the scoped EIS and addendum prepared by SLR Consulting, as described in the body of the staff report. Staff have no further comments at this time and are happy to answer any questions from committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Crowder. I believe the applicant's agent is Mr. Kosopoulos. Did I get that right? Morning. Morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Good.
It's thank you. It's Jim Kotsopoulos, and I'm my address is 27 Field Flower Crescent in Richmond Hill. And
welcome. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate it. Good morning, members of the committee, town staff, and also the public. Mr. Chair, I was going to get into the clergy, but Ms. Crowder did such a excellent job in describing that, so I'm not going to repeat in terms of where we are and from an official plan review perspective. And that one will have to be further discussed, as Ms. Crowder said, in terms of our next step discussions. So I do want to actually just elaborate on some things that Ms. Crowder had brought up. The first one would be, I did actually augment the severance sketch. So if we can get to that one, which should be my third slide. So Mr. Chair, there's the application before town staff. And I just want to highlight a couple of key items with respect to what Ms. Crowder has brought up. The first being, Mr. Chair, is the actual dimensions of the proposed lots in terms of their lot sizes. You're looking at lot 1, which is obviously the westerly that comes off directly of Eldo Lane and Highway 38. That has an overall lot area of 8.90 acres. Lot 2, which is the first lot to be proposed to be created, has a frontage of 410 feet and an area of 3 acres. Lot 3 has a frontage of 348 feet and 2.82 acres. Lot 4 has a frontage of 410 feet and an area of 3.85 acres. Lot 5 has 385 feet of frontage and 3.85 acres. And then, of course, the last one is the Lot 6, has a frontage of 656 feet and an area of roughly 92 acres. And Mr. Chair, when you look at the entirety of the land holdings, you could see if you take the length of the southerly portion of the lake, the subject lands represent about 60% of the land holdings. And in our opinion, Mr. Chair, the dimensions that I gave you and the 4 new lots to be created, in our opinion, does represent, and it is characteristic of modest intensification for the subject lands. And Mr. Chair, and I'll just quickly wrap up again to what Ms. Crowder had said. The next step, obviously one of our key issues that we'll have to address, as the staff said, the severance proposal will have to implement the findings and the recommendations of our detailed environmental impact statement. And that is going to happen following this. And that, of course, Mr. Chair, will include items, shoreline setbacks, septic setbacks, and the protection of whatever environmental features will need to be looked at and protected. So that will follow this, and we will continue. We've had diligent discussions with staff regarding that, and we'll continue to have those. And Mr. Chair, In terms of the other issue, the WR1 zone, as Ms. Crowder pointed out, relative to what we're proposing, those frontages requirements are 60 meters in an area of 0.4 hectares, 1 acre. So I just wanted to give you that relativity in terms of what the minimums are versus what we're proposing. And so, Mr. Chair, just the critical step is, again, as Ms. Crowder, I just want to reinforce that for this committee, that we will have to implement the provisions, the recommendations, the protections that are following the environmental impact statement. And we would obviously need to do that in order to be back before this committee, which we're hoping to be back as soon as we can with a formal recommendation. And at this time, that's really what I have to say, Mr. Chair, and we're open to any questions. I did neglect to say that I do have George and Carol Battalini with me. In case they need to discuss anything or to have any comments, we'll be glad to do that as well. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Do we have anybody wishing to speak in support of this application? Anybody online? No? So I suspect we have a number of people who wish to speak in opposition, judging by the side of our crowd here today. We will listen to you all. We have received all of your correspondence, this committee, and I know we're all very diligent about reading this, so we're well aware of the issues. And it is important that we hear you. So feel free to speak. I would ask that if you're going to make a point that has already been made by one of the previous delegates, then you can just refer to it, but we don't need. It would be better to not go through it all. So I presume a number of you would like to speak, and we're very happy to listen to you. So who would be like to come up first? So the protocol, as you've heard, is you give us your name and address, and you've got 5 minutes.
My pleasure. Good morning, everyone. My name is Chris Shanko, and I reside at 1057-1 Hesners Lake Road in Bala. As a local business owner, I had the honor and privilege to work with the township on its dark sky bylaw amendments to ensure the protection of the night sky. This experience highlighted this council's genuine commitment to protecting Muskoka's natural heritage. It was encouraging to witness a unified effort to preserve the night sky, a value we all deeply share. I appreciate the time to express the concerns and objection to the application B25-33/25/ML. As you're aware, 34 letters of opposition have been submitted by individual property owners on Hesners Lake. That represents approximately 90% of the lake's residents, a clear and unified voice expressing deep concern over this proposal. Hesners Lake is a small, sensitive water body, not comparable to larger lakes like Lake Muskoka. It is already classified as an over recreational capacity under the 2023 Muskoka official plan. Its fragile ecosystem relies heavily on responsible stewardship from its current residents, something we are proud to provide and protect. Our family, like many others with young children, chose this lake for the peace, safety, and natural environment it offers. Whether swimming or enjoying time on the dock, we value the absence of heavy boat traffic, congestion, and noise. This being said, adding this proposed development will drastically change that. Also, the safety as well as environmental impacts on our lake. The addition of these proposed severances will overcrowd the lake, add multiple cottages and septic systems, as well as severely alter protective lands, which were intended through bylaw to remain in the original state as open spaces too. If this is approved, it will set a precedence for the remaining landowners to do the same. Where do the severances end? If I have 400 feet of lakefront now, can I revert back to previous bylaws, which would allow me to sever into 100-foot lots according to previous bylaws? The previous council made clear a decision regarding development limitations on this property. We would ask that this decision be respected and upheld by the current council. In closing, we share the staff's concerns with this proposal and understanding that this is to be deferred, but why are we deferring? You've heard all from the owners of Hesners Lake who have expressed their objections to this application. We would respectfully request a decision be made today, whether it be approved or denied during this meeting, so we can prepare either way for the next steps regarding this matter. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else like to come up and speak? Name and address and 5 minutes.
Nesbitt, I live at 1251 Muskoka Road 38. We live on Hesners Lake.
Sorry, is the mic on?
Pardon?
Oh, we have a challenging microphone here.
Got it? Okay, it's Art Nesbitt, and I reside at 1251 Muskoka Road 38, and we live on Hesners Lake. And I'm the Art Nesbitt that was here 20 years ago when I sold that property in good faith, and we made a deal with the township, which I see was censored from my note that I submitted to everybody. And the deal was back then that we had 2 building lots. There was one on the south side, one on the north side. And the only way to get to the lot on the south side was through water. So I proposed that we try to move that lot somewhere else so we didn't have boat traffic getting across the lake with building material and whatnot. So I came into the township office and I told them the predicament, and they said, well, that's the way it is. There's no more severances allowed. So I said, well, what do you expect me to do then? To sell the lot and tell people they have to buy a helicopter to get to it? So at that point, I see Mr. Fonder is gone now, but he was the guy that was in charge at the time. And he said, okay, well, I guess we can do a severance in that. So he always got somebody to run interference for him, running back and forth. So I was going back and forth with his assistant, and he came out through her and said, okay, I guess we'll do a severance and we can do a landing. And I said, well, if you're going to do that, why don't we just change the location of that lot in the first place? I started with the process with 2 lots, and I said, I'll still only have 2 lots, but to be on the same side of the lake. We won't damage the health of the lake by going back and forth, the building materials and all that sort of rigmarole. So he felt that was a good idea. He supported my plan on that, which was presented to council at that time, and they approved it. So the deal was we'd change it to open spaces, which I had no problem with because I live across from this property and I don't want to be looking at cottages. I want the health of the lake to be there for everybody. And everybody, most of the people at the time were skeptical of it, but have now come to realize that that was a good decision to be made for all of us that live on that lake. So I noticed as well that 2 sentences of my letter I sent out to everybody has been blacked out. I don't know why that was done. I'd like to know who did that. And I've already sent letters to everybody on the lake anyhow, so they know what I said. And I sent the same letter out to several people on the council, so they know what I said. So who censored my letter?
I'm not sure who censored the letter.
Well, there's 2 sentences that are clearly blacked out, which
Well,
I don't agree
they were
with.
blacked out for a reason.
Well, why?
Emily can answer.
Ms. Crowder, can you tell?
For you, Chair. To address the question, I'm just having one of my team members pull up the letter so we can look at it. As you can appreciate, there were 34, so I'm trying to remember the exact sentences. But what happens when staff receive letters from the public is we read them to make sure that they meet the guidelines of what is to be presented at a meeting, that everything is respectful and that there are no potential defamatory comments or anything like that. So we can certainly look at the letter, but the clerk did assist with reviewing the letter with staff, and it was agreed upon that that portion should be redacted.
If it was blacked out, we ask you not to read it here.
Well, people have a copy of it anyhow, so.
Well, I'm asking you not to read it.
See it, but I don't agree with that being blacked out because there's nothing defamatory there. There's no problem with what I had to say. Yeah, it's my submission. I'll show it to people anyhow. That's my submission, and if anybody has a question, that's fine.
All right. Thank you very much. Committee. I'm sorry. Do we have any others who would like to speak on this application? Is there somebody online? Do we have people online? Can't see faces over there. Is there somebody online?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thanks. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair Bosmuth and members of the Planning Committee. Let's give me notes up. Thank you. I'm Steve Rahachuk. I reside at 1138 Leonard Lake Road number 2 in Muskoka Lakes, and I'll be speaking on behalf of the Muskoka Lakes Association today. I will not repeat what I stated in our letter of objection, but will focus on the environmental conditions of the Hesners Lake lands being discussed in these two applications. I'll be using the applicant's environmental impact study report and addendum, the property, and looking at the property from an environmental perspective can be described as follows. EP zone along the entire shoreline and across lot 1. Shoreline and lake bed is predominantly type 1 fish habitat, with only a few points along the shoreline that may be suitable for a dock. There is no opinion or mention in the report on how normal boating and swimming activities associated with the dock or normal residential activities may impact fish habitat, but the report does say no logs or debris in the water should be removed. Wetland and buffer areas completely render lots 4, 5, and 6 unusable for road access and our building sites. And I will note the EIS addendum does update the wetlands and the buffer on lots 4 and 5. 20 bird species were identified, with 11 being area-sensitive species. The report recommends that no vegetation removal during the nesting season between April 15th and August 31st shall be done, essentially the entire cottage season. Once any vegetation is removed, nesting areas will no longer exist. There are 3 den sites on 3 of the proposed lots for the Massasauga rattlesnake, which is protected under the Species at Risk Act. 38 different species of vegetation and flora have been identified, and there's evidence of moose activity. If there's a definition of what type of lands and property is meant to be protected, these lands are a very good example. Whether the 2013 official plan or the 2023 official plan is applied, there is ample and clear policies in either plan that can and should be applied to protect these lands. Now, from a broader perspective, what we are seeing across Muskoka are planning applications for lands that 10 to 15 years ago, or even 5 years ago, would not be considered for development because these are poor sites for varying reasons. Submission of planning applications and reports do not change the fact that these lands are poor for development and should not be development. We believe that both planning applications before the planning committee do not represent good planning, will significantly harm the environment, set a very concerning precedent, and should be denied in full. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have anybody else online wishing to speak against this application? No one's raised their hand. Could I give just another minute maybe and we'll see what happens? Nothing's happening. Committee. We have its question period. Councilor Zavitz.
Excuse me. Thank you. And through you, I guess to Emily, a couple of questions based on your excellent presentation. And we've had a lot of information come forward to us. My question would be to you regarding the more rigid, more environmentally rigid OPA of 2023, we'll call it, which was under appeal at the time when this file came forward. Does that mean that you will, throughout the whole course of this file, have to deal with it based on the previous OPA?
Ms. Crowder?
Through you, Chair, to Councillor Zavitz. Because portions of the 2023 official plan were under appeal at the time the applications were made, any policies that were under appeal at that time cannot be considered in the analysis of the recommendation for these applications following the clergy principle. So what these applications would be compared against is any policies that were not appealed through within the 2023 official plan and where applicable policies lie within the 2013 version of the official plan.
Supplemental?
Thank you. And through you to Emily again, then could you, in 18 words or less, sort of comprehend what impacts those old have versus the new based on the file in front of us?
Ms. Crowder?
that a fair question?
You got more than 18 words.
I always have
Chair
more
will
than
allow you.
18. Through you, Chair.
We'll apply that back to you, Councillor Zavitz.
I would say, if I'm understanding your question correctly, that the main differences are that RCC is not in play here, the recreational carrying capacity, and some of the enhanced lot frontage and area requirements of the 2023 official plan, which are under appeal, or were under appeal at the time of the applications.
Ms. Crowder, could you explain to the audience, because I know this committee knows, that the clergy rule is nothing to do with the church?
Yes, through you, Chair, absolutely. So the clergy principle is a principle wherein any kind of application would be compared against the policies that are in full force and effect at the time that the applications were made. So because we have this transitionary period of introducing the new official plan into the township, and some of those policies are going through an appeal process, they are not able to be used as analysis for the application at hand, because we can only compare the applications against the policies in full force and effect at that time.
Ms. Crowder, why is it called the clergy principle?
Through you, Chair. You asked me this last time and I
know the answer.
I know, but I forget the answer.
The answer is the one of the applicants, or the name of the person, or in that case, their name was clergy.
Yes, thank you. I got to write that
Mayor
down.
Kelly. Did you have a question, or were you answering?
No, I had an answer.
Oh, you have an answer. Okay. Councillor Nishikawa.
Thank you. I am going to be respectfully asking if you could read the question, please.
Are we, Committee General, happy with that? Good. So you'd like to debate it. Very well. So let me read the resolution moved by Councillor Mazin, seconded by Councillor Zavitz. Be it resolved that decisions on consent application B 25, 26, 27, 28, 29/25 ML and B 30/31323325 ML and zoning bylaw amendment application ZBA 28/25 be deferred so that public and agency comments can be received, and that staff can be directed to undertake a review and analysis of the submissions with a view to providing recommendation to Planning Committee on the applications. And that as part of the deferral, the following item be approved. Revised application materials which addresses the recommendations made in the scoped EIS and addendum prepared by SLR and dated April 17th, 2025 and July 29th, 2025, respectively, as described in the body of staff report plan 2025-111. Councillor Nishikawa.
Thank you. I would not be in favor of any of this application. Back in 2003, I remember this very clearly because we were dealing with two issues in this area, which was the snowmobile trail, but up the road from this, and of course Hesners Lake. And back then there was overcrowding. Back then there was a need to put provisions in place to protect the area. It's more or less an overgrown pond, quite frankly. I live on it, something similar. So I understand the constraints and how, like, literally in some places you will have docks meeting each other if you were actually to be living by the bylaws. So and again, it was very, very interesting back in 2003 that the asks then and the reasons why, and I don't see anything that's changed other than we have more flooding now. So it gives me even more cause. But I was also very concerned about the lot, that if we're going to removing the OS2 zones, or that whole lot goes back into another lake. And although that's not part of the application, I can't ignore the fact that this lake also has other issues from another applicant not very long ago. So I'm really I can't approve this particular application and nor anything. As a matter of fact, some of us did not agree with this the last time an application got forward. And I don't know how we can bring more harm to the lake by keep forcing things on.
Councillor Roberts.
Thank you. What's on the table is a deferral for more information, more clarity. So I'm not prepared to make any decision until I get that additional information. And I think we got to let the process flow through. That's my opinion.
Other comments? Councillor Zavitz.
Thank you, and through you. I think I'm somewhat similar in that I would want to understand the impacts of going against staff's recommendation for a deferral or this to be voted down. So I wonder if, is that a question for our director or CAO or Ms. Crowder?
Director Huff.
Thank you, through the chair. So to respond to Councillor Zavitz's question, I think if planning staff don't bring back a subsequent report, council will not have the full analysis of the application relative to the policies at play. And that analysis is important to a recommendation. However, it's certainly within the purview of this committee to do as they wish, whether to defer or take another action. So certainly we would recommend from a planning perspective to have that analysis in order to make a decision, but it's entirely up to committee.
Councillor Nishikawa.
I'm curious, or I may have misunderstood what Ms. Huff said. Why is the application here if it wasn't a complete application?
Ms. Huff.
Thank you, through the chair. Sorry, I didn't intend to imply that it wasn't a complete application. I'm just saying that when the report comes forward, you would have the complete analysis of the application.
Again, I'm really challenged of what more information are we waiting for? And we should have received it at this table, like at this meeting. And I'm not sure why, like, again, what more are we waiting for? And the pertinence and all that type of thing, because it seems like it must be really, really important. And we asked all these people to leave their workplace and everything else to be here.
Ms. Crowder.
Through you, Chair, to Councilor Nishikawa. So as you may remember, in some of our larger applications where there's a lot of public interest or the application itself has a lot of information and different components involved, we've taken the approach where we bring a background report forward, followed by a report with staff's recommendation in it. And the reason that this approach has been taken is because we want to ensure that we're addressing all of the public comments that do come in, which some of them sometimes don't come in until the day before or the day of. Just given the nature of the planning process and the circulation process. So we want to make sure that we have time as staff to consider and address all of those comments in our reports, and also to allow committee and members of the public some time to digest all of the information. This is 9 consent applications and a zoning bylaw application with a pretty in-depth environmental study and addendum. So it is a lot of information. So we opted to take the approach of bringing that background report forward, which doesn't include an analysis of the consent applications or the zoning in its totality as you would normally see. You'd probably have a report in front of you that was 30 plus pages if we did do it that way. And we found that this approach has been successful to date. So just to give a bit of background on why these applications are coming forward the way they are.
Councillor Zavitz.
Thank you, and through you. So how did this skirt the District of Muskoka plan of subdivision process? I mean, this of a magnitude of whatever, this is one of the biggest ones that's come forward to us.
Councillor, or Ms. Crowder.
Through you, Chair, to Councillor Zavitz. Great question. The District of Muskoka official plan includes provisions surrounding plans of subdivision and what kind of development should be applied for through that type of process. Typically, the District of Muskoka official plan lists things such as a land holding being severed into 5 or more lots, municipal services being in play, things like that. In this situation, we have 2 separate land holdings, so they're not the same parcel of land. And we're creating a total, or the applicant is proposing to create a total of 4 new lots, no municipal services in play here. And it's a bit, I'm not sure how much the process really gains from going through that process of a plan of subdivision versus the consent process. There's still agreements that are in play that would include the provisions that would cover off the municipality's interests. So.
Committee, any other? Councillor Edwards.
Yes, thank you. Looking at bylaw 203-188, that changed it to open space. Was that registered on title at the time?
Ms. Crowder?
Through you, Chair, to Councillor Edwards, yes, the bylaw would be registered on title and form part of the.
So the owner
record.
buying that property knew what they were buying, open space.
Ms. Crowder?
Through you, Chair, I can't speak to what the owner knew or didn't know. They could go through a process of obtaining a municipal record search. I don't believe one was done as part of our archives.
Okay, thank you.
Committee, any other questions or comments? Seeing none, the motion has been read to defer. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. Thank you. Time is it? What's the next? Do we?
Charles? It was a big deal?
All right. Folks,
I don't think.
committee, we could take a break for 15 minutes. Let's take a break for 15 minutes. We'll come back at whatever that is. Do we have everybody here? Councillor Burry. All right, everyone. Our next item is a zoning bylaw amendment application. This is ZBA 23/25 Mills. And Mr. Mello.
Thank you, Chair Bosmore. The next application to be heard is zoning bylaw amendment application ZBA 23/25 in the name of Mills. The subject lands are known municipally as 1179 Hamels Point Road, unit number 2. Next slide, please. I would direct committee's attention to the submitted site plan on page 230 of the agenda package. The subject property is currently developed with an existing dwelling, shed, garage, and a dock. No buildings and structures are proposed at this time. Next slide, please. The purpose of the application is to rezone the easterly portion of the subject property from open space private, zone OS2, to waterfront residential, zone WR4. This table can be found in the agenda package. Next slide, please. Notice of this public meeting under the Planning Act was circulated 23 days in advance of this meeting, and 5 comments have been received to date. Comments were received from Nick Snyder, the Township's Chief Building Official, Matt Beach, the Township's Development and Transportation Engineering Coordinator, Ryan Morrell, the Township's Fire Chief, and Chriselle Story, the Township's Land and Agreements Coordinator, and the District Municipality of Muskoka, stating no objection to the application. Next slide, please. Staff have prepared a detailed report for committee's consideration and recommend that zoning bylaw amendment application ZBA 23/25 in the name of Mills be approved. I have no further comments at this time and I'm happy to answer any questions from committee.
Thank you. Mr. Allen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I see that the room cleared out for me.
I don't think it has anything to do with you, Mr. Allen. You
Well,
need not be offended.
Well, thank you for that. I think you get the sense from Mr. Mello that this application is a bit administrative in nature. My name is Ryan Allen, 16 McNabb Street, Bracebridge, Ontario, P1L1R4. I'm representing the Mills family, trying to clean up some of the old zoning that carried over from a 2020 lot addition severance. The open space zone that carried on to the Mills lot was assigned to the retained lot because it lacked road frontage. The Mills were not aware that the OS2 zoning existed until recently exploring the Muskoka web map, which then they reached out to me and we explored the question of how did the open space zone remain following the 2020 lot addition. The fact is that it was overlooked. So we're here today to clean up the zone, to establish unified waterfront residential zoning over the entire lot. As Ms. DeVella noted in her report, the removal of the open space zone eliminates hunt camps, forestry, agricultural pits and quarries. The lands are currently vacant, level. There's a hydro line that passes through. There's no development plans at this time, but any future development on that piece will comply with the bylaw. Happy to answer any questions. Thanks.
Mr. Allen, I think that's the record.
Were you timing?
We always time you.
Okay. Thanks for that.
We time everybody too, so you're not getting special attention. Do we have any buddy online to speak for or against this application? I suspect not. Committee, do we have any questions for the Mr. Mello or Mr. Allen? Seeing none, let me read the resolution. Moved by Councillor Roberts, seconded by Councillor Nishikawa. Be it resolved that zoning bylaw amendment application ZBA 23/25 be approved. Committee, do we have any discussions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, that carries.
That was also record time, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Have a great day.
You've set yourself a new standard.
Well, it's going to be hard to beat. Thanks.
All right. Our next item is a site plan, plans of subdivision and condominium. I think this is Ms. Crowder.
Thank you, Chair Bosenworth. The District Municipality of Muskoka is in receipt of an application to amend Plan of Subdivision S 2019-9, referred to as Muskoka Trails. As part of the review process of said application, the district has requested formal comments be received from the township on the application. Next slide, please. Phased Plan of Subdivision number S 2019-9 was draft approved on February 22nd, 2024 by the District Municipality of Muskoka. At the time of draft approval, the plan sought to create a total of 85 single detached residential lots and 4 multiple residential blocks for a maximum of 341 residential units, as well as 7 blocks for stormwater management, open space, and parkland purposes, developed over 5 phases. The development is proposed to be serviced by municipal water and sewer. Next slide, please. The owner submitted an application to the District of Muskoka earlier this year for an amendment to draft approval of the phased plan of subdivision, to rephase the draft approval, and to update condition number 4 of the draft approval to reflect the phase change. The proposed phase changes include the following: the addition of lots 76 to 85, which are single detached residential units, not previously listed, to phase number 1. The addition of blocks 95, which is open space, and 96, which is multi-residential, to phase 1, which were previously included in phase 3. And finally, the addition of block 92, which is a multi-residential block, to phase 3, which was previously listed in phase number 1. Next slide, please. Staff have prepared a detailed report for committee's consideration. Staff recommend that the District of Muskoka be advised that the Township of Muskoka Lakes has no objection to the approval of the proposed amendment to the draft approved plan of subdivision, to rephase the draft approved plan and edit condition number 4 to reflect the proposed phasing changes. Staff have no further comments at this time and are happy to answer any questions from committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much, committee. Are there any questions? Councillor Nishikawa.
Thank you. I didn't read in the application where they were, what they were going to start with first. So we had a conversation with it when this came forward some months ago, whether they were going to come in off of 118 to start or Foreman Road. And it made more sense to come off of Foreman back then, but I don't recall if that's been changed or not, or yeah, because I don't even see an entrance
Ms. Crowder.
suggested off Foreman.
Through you, Chair, Councillor Nishikawa. I don't have direct answer to that. The amendment before us doesn't seek any changes in respect to the entrance or where the development will start coming off of. I don't know if any of my colleagues know of the previous conversations surrounding that, but what I can say is the application at hand didn't refer to any mention of the entrance.
Councillor Kent.
No, sorry.
Oh, no.
Oh. Mr. Sharp.
Through you, Chair, and good morning, members of committee. Thank you, Councillor Nishikawa. Yeah, you'll recall the previous plan of subdivision approval, and the entrance or entrances was a point of discussion. All I can say without having everything in front of me today is that planning committee and council was satisfied with the direction that was taken with respect to the entrances, and it would have been implemented as part of the conditions of the subdivision approval. So I don't have them in front of me, but as Ms. Crowder had indicated, what we're here today to discuss is the phasing, and the discussions with respect to the entrances was part of that previous discussion. Thank you.
Sorry, if I could follow up.
One
The
supplemental.
My concern is that they're changing the phasing, changing the numbers of phasing, that does change what gets started first and what entrance they are used. So that's why I was concerned about
I see.
getting more details on that.
Ms. Huff, Director Huff.
Thank you, through the chair. So just looking at the plan that's in the report, the phasing is outlined in red from what I can tell in the report. And that entrance is from Medora Street. And then the entrance from the district highway is located in, I believe, phase 3. Sorry. So the phase 1 is in, how would I describe it? At the north end of Medora Street, and then the future phase would be off Foreman. So phase 3 would be off of Foreman Street. And that doesn't appear to be changing in the phasing of the development.
Councillor Roberts? Oh, sorry, Councillor. And
Thank you, and through you to staff. Maybe I didn't get it completely in the materials, but my understanding of the issue when we looked at this, which was, I think, a year ago or 2 years ago, whenever we first looked at this, or not first, but probably the first time I looked at it, was that it was important that in phase 1, that the lower income housing was built in phase 1. And I just wanted to ensure that that priority was still being met with the rephasing of this. And I may be using the wrong term, but the stuff that was going to help the community wasn't being deferred as part of this.
Ms. Crowder, when you and I went through this earlier this week, you gave kind of a neat summary where, we're taking, what's the net change? And when you read it all through is fine, but when you maybe the net change, and then that might help answer
Absolutely.
Councillor Ken's question.
Through you, Chair. Absolutely. I can give a bit more of a summary of what these changes really look like and what the end result is. So if you go to the analysis of the staff report, you'll see that the original phasing schedule for this subdivision was proposing 124 multi-residential units in phase 1. This proposed amendment would move that multi-residential block, so the 124 units, to phase 3. So that would occur later in the phasing schedule. However, they are proposing to swap multi-residential blocks. So the block that was originally in phase 3 is proposed to now be in phase 1, and the block that was in phase 1 is now proposed to be in phase 3. So it went from 124 multi-residential units in phase 1 to 48 multi-residential units in phase 1. And the 124 would happen later in the phase 3.
The ones that were intended to be built in phase 1, same as the ones that we've
Ms.
taken
Crowder?
out?
Yeah.
Through you, Chair, to Councillor Kent, I am not personally aware of the attainable housing breakdown. I don't know if Mr. Sharp or Mr. Pink remember the details of this.
And I may be wrong on my facts. I'm just recollecting that was a big priority when we
Mr. Sharp.
approved it.
Through you, Chair, thank you. From my recollection, I don't recall the owner's intent to enter into any formal considerations related to attainable or affordable housing so far as the district's program is concerned. But with that said, what I would say is that these multi-residential type units would add to the overall mix of available housing in the township. They would provide a different form of housing versus, say a single detached. And that is a benefit to the community. And although I appreciate that, things are sort of being switched around and a lower number of multi-residential units will be proposed in this phase, in the context of the township, this is still quite a bit of multi-residential housing, which is good. And overall, if the developers proceed with their plans, it'll all get built out eventually. Thank you.
Councillor Ken.
My only comment is I don't think there's any requirement I am concerned about the affordable housing getting built. And I'm, given the size of this development, my concern is they can jig it around, but then there's no commitment that they have to do phase 2 or phase 3. They may never get to it. Am I wrong on that?
Councillor Nishikawa.
This is not the same project that you would see coming forward to district where 33% of the application was going to be attainable housing because they're getting funding. There's been no applications made for funding through the district that I'm aware of today. No, but that's what the difference between attainable housing, if you just separate it as much as that, district funds are not involved, so therefore there is no attainable housing.
So
Councillor Kent.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Thank you. I may be using the wrong word, but unless, or my memory could be off from the last discussion. But one of the things we liked about this was there was a bunch of multi-residential, and we've pulled that back and put in less of it up front, and there's no requirement that they ever get to the small stuff, the smaller property housing. But I'm just raising an issue. I don't know the facts well enough to really make an argument.
Ms. Crowder, comments?
Through you, Chair. Yeah, I would just say that the proposed amendment is still going to result in multi-residential units being built in the first phase. It's just changing the numbers a bit. So it originally, it was going to be 124 multi-res in the first phase. Now they're proposing 48, thank you very much. 48 in the first phase. And as Mr. Sharp said, in the context of the township, that is still a significant addition of multi-res units in the township. So staff don't have any direct concerns about that. There may be conditions built into the subdivision agreement about the development of multi-residential units, which we could certainly look into. But overall, staff don't have concerns with the proposed swap.
Committee, do we have any more questions on this before I read the resolution? I think Councillor Edwards, you had your hand up first.
Yeah, like staff are saying, okay, so that we're dropping 76 multi-residential units, which would be more affordable than a detached, would it not? Is there no concern with that?
Ms. Crowder?
Through you, Chair, to Councillor Edwards. I think I wouldn't use the word drop. The units aren't proposed to no longer be developed. The proposed phase in which they're proposed to be developed is changing. I would say that, as Mr. Sharp said, the addition of multi-residential units does add to the housing mix and can provide more opportunity for housing in the community. But those units are still proposed. They're just not proposed to happen in phase 1.
Mr. Sharp.
Thank you, Chair Bosenworth. Just one last point that I'd make is, ultimately, any housing is good housing, I think. And, they're changing the phases. And if that's going to help the developer build the houses, to me, that's a good thing. So that would be just my last comment. Thank you.
I'm going to read the resolution. We can have a little more discussion on this. Moved by Councillor Mazin, seconded by Councillor Kent. Be it resolved that the District of Muskoka be advised that the Township of Muskoka Lakes has no objection to the approval of a proposed amendment to the draft approved plan of subdivision number S2019-9 Muskoka Trails to rephase the draft approved plan and edit condition number 4 to reflect the proposed phasing changes. All right, so Councillor Roberts.
Thank you, Chair. Last evening, I did go back and read part of the November 2023 application. And it's because I had a specific interest in something else. But there was only 3 conditions listed there. It was stormwater management, pond boundaries, retention of vegetation outside the building envelopes, and snowmobile easements. But I do recall in discussions, as Councillor Nishikawa was discussing, and I think it was Miss Ledger that came, a lot of conversation around where they would start and concerns of starting on coming off Medora. And there was a lot of attendance by by the community to this application. So I don't know what we can do to reinforce or not, like we need the, if we're going to go with our 2023 decisions, that it comes off of Foreman Road first. And I don't know how that impacts the builder's plans. There must be reasons they've shuffled it for building purposes or something. So anyways, I just make that point that those conditions were definitely talked about. But, and we're seeing them, they could be there, but I didn't see them. I just said the conditions were this. So.
Any other comments? Councilor Nishikawa.
Well, it's sort of along the same line. My concern is that, and we brought it up that there's going to be dump packed up, like piled up on Medora Street, waiting to get in. Like many of us, when we were driving in today, we saw the number of dump trucks waiting to get into one property. I saw 10 of them yesterday, and there's another, I think 7 or 8 today. You can't have that on 160 or 118. It just, there's nowhere to pull over that kind of equipment and stuff. And so I'm suggesting if this is open now, that we would look much closer at requesting them to come in off Foreman Road.
Ms. Crowder, any thoughts on that?
Through you, Chair. Mr. Sharp and I were just pulling up the subdivision agreement to see if there was a condition in here that stipulates where the entrance originally has to be from. I'm not seeing that just in my cursory view, but we can certainly take a more in-depth look at that and come back. That being said, I don't know that this application opens up the draft approval. They're proposing to rephase certain things, and we're, I believe, a commenting agency to the district. So I think that we could provide comments to the district to the effect of, any changes you'd like to see. But I think that the ultimate approval authority is the district.
Councilor Zavitz?
Thank you, and through you. I think we have to look no further than the last 2 years in Port Carling on Highway 118 and the number of phone calls and text messages. So that I think if Councilor Nishikawa raises a really good point, if we have any influence as a body, we should and could insist on using Foreman Road. I mean, alternative access to the construction site, because it's a killer. 2 years. Thank you.
Ms. Crowder, could we insist or can we just recommend?
Through you, Chair. I think at this point it would be a recommendation. I think that the township is being asked to comment on this application to amend the conditions. And I think that we could provide that recommendation and include what you'd like to see, but ultimately it would be a recommendation at this point.
Councilor Zavitz and Nishikawa, would you like to propose an amending motion? Can you describe what you'd like to have in that motion?
Because they are reducing the number or the allotment of what is being built. I'm just proposing that we change the entrance to the construction site to be off of Foreman Road. I have to make it as simple as that because I can't give you the reason.
So our recommendation would be that we have a strong preference for the construction entrance to be off of Foreman Road because of the heavy traffic on 118.
Yes.
And we'll have a first or a proposer and a seconder. Give us 2 minutes. We'll see how quickly. Shit.
This is an example of something that was missed. This is an example of things, but no fault. They missed this in the minutes.
I still don't like reduce. And the mayor was, he was the latest sitting in.
Mayor Kelly, yes.
Thank you. And through you, it just occurs to me to ask, are there no trucks allowed on Mortimer's Point Road? Are there restrictions on loads on Mortimer's Point Road and down Foreman Road? That may become the preferred option, and that may be a unintended consequence of switching this. So I asked the question because I don't know.
Who in staff would know the answer to that? David, do you know who will be responsible for that? Like who sets the road limits or the load limits?
Thank you. Through you, both roads would be District of Muskoka. I believe Foreman Road is a Class B and Medora 118 would be a Class A. I'm not aware of any load restriction differences, but I certainly couldn't confirm that. I think staff would have to follow up with District Public Works to make sure.
I don't know.
Apparently, your eyes have to be on this before we.
When they
yeah. Really, you can almost see it. It's where the existing boats place is and a bunch of other.
Councilor Zavitz and Nishikawa, here is the recommended agenda or resolution. Moved by Councilor Nishikawa, seconded by Councilor Zavitz. Be it resolved that the resolution be amended to add that the construction entrance for phase 1 be from Foreman Road. Councilor Zavitz?
Thank you. Through you.
After that?
The mayor did raise a really good point that, you know, a consequence of this could be pushing the construction traffic onto Foreman Road, seeking an alternative route, if you will, which is right past all the cottagers, et cetera. So I wonder if are we being, is it too onerous to actually add a sub and not to use a residential Foreman Road access as an alternative or something? I don't know how we do that, but is there signage up there? I don't know that. It says no trucks or large.
Sorry, are you trying to suggest that they can only use Foreman Road between 118 and Foreman Road?
Access
And
up
not
118.
up all the way up through Foreman Road?
Right, that's exactly. It's really just a, right? We're
Councilor
gonna use
Nishikawa?
118.
Thank you. I don't believe that the challenge, I sort of am picturing that people might think that the entrance to this site is much further down Foreman Road, and
not
it's
that
not.
No.
And the other thing is when you talk about Mortimer's Point Road, we are still in pursuit of district to put those bollards up that are going to slow the traffic down on Mortimer's Point Road. And because you'd mentioned Mortimer's Point, and I just wanted to add that we do have measures in place that are supposed to be happening to do traffic calming. But otherwise, we could hold up a whole lot more people than we would be holding up on Foreman Road. Because we're not affecting the cottagers.
No.
Like there's a whole subdivisions back there of cottagers off of Foreman Road. There's quite a bit of a barrier between where those cottagers are and Foreman Road itself. And we already have a lot of contractors that live in that area. So they're used to the dump trucks and all of that.
So does this resolution catch what you'd like?
Yeah, and I'll talk about it at district as well.
Committee, let me read the resolution so we can discuss whether we want it added or not. Be it moved by Councilor Nishikawa, seconded by Councilor Zavitz. Be resolved that the resolution be amended to add that the construction entrance for phase 1 be from Foreman Road. Committee, do we have any discussion on that? All those in favor? Any opposed? So that carried. So we, what do we do? Just say, do we,
You want to propose accepting the main motions and then.
all right, so all those in favor of, yes,
On the main motion, I'd like to see that we are, like, at least I'm concerned with the loss of 76 multiple units. And that it says concern, I can pass it, but I think district should know they should look at it.
They're moving them to different.
well, let's deal with this one before we get to that one. So we,
Needs to make it.
yeah, but after those.
Yeah, so you've done it. And so now this is another amendment he's proposed.
All right, so the proper protocol, if you'd like to make another amendment,
I'd like to say we have concerns about the loss of 76
Are we losing?
multi-resident.
Ms. Crowder?
units. I know it's going to phase 3, but phase 3 may never be built.
well, phase 1 might never be built either. We don't control when they start. Ms. Crowder.
Through you, Chair, just to provide some further comment, I think Councillor Edwards, I believe, is of the same understanding that the units are being moved to phase 3, but your concern is that they wouldn't be built in phase 1. Is that correct? Just so I'm understanding?
Well, the thing is this, we've seen other developments where the first phase goes through and then is never finished.
Right. So I think,
Like I say, I'm not asking them to do it, just so that we have concerns, but hopefully the rest of council, because we do need more affordable housing. Multiple housing units bring more affordable prices.
through you, Chair, I think that staff were, when we considered this, we considered that having a bit of a smaller phase 1 may actually enable the developer to proceed with starting the development from a financial perspective. So that's largely why we don't have concerns with the proposed change.
Theo Pink.
Thank you. I appreciate the concerns about the reduction in potential multi-residential units in phase 1. But if council has that concerns, I would suggest to you that you make those comments to the district that you don't support the amendments to the plan. I don't understand quite the approach of recommending approval of the amendments, but raising concerns with it at the same time. Either I think you advise the district that you don't support it, or you do. I think Mr. Sharp made an excellent point. Again, staff certainly was cognizant of the reduction in multi-res units, but if the change in phasing plan actually assists the development and proceeding, I think that's an overall benefit. And there still is going to be multiple residential units in phase 1, just a lesser amount. But again, to your request, Councillor Edwards, should you have concerns, I'm not sure what the district will do with that if you're recommending approval of the amendments, but flagging a concern at the same time. Either suggested not be amended or support. Thank you.
Councillor Edwards, so do you wish to proceed with another motion or not?
No, that's fine then, if that's what, and that, but I've just seen too many plans of subdivision where they don't go to phase 2, phase 3, or phase 4.
Councillor Nishikawa, one more.
I just wanted to add, and because this was my questioning way back when, and I think I've taken care of it. In coming in off of Foreman Road, it's already opened up the possibilities to have access to those other locations. And that to me will hopefully satisfy getting the project completed.
All right, committee, can we approve the original amendment as amended? All those in favor? Any opposed? That also carried. Our next one is under the heritage and attainable housing. And Ms. Walker is going to take through a designation, heritage designation application.
Thank you very much, Chair Bosenworth. The next application to be heard is a heritage designation application for 11 Island J5, also known as Chiefs Island. Just wait for the presentation. And just the next slide when you have a moment. The application has been made to designate a heritage property under the Ontario Heritage Act. The property is located on Chiefs Island, and the cottage was originally constructed in 1875 and is one of the first cottages constructed in Muskoka, and it is on the screen in front of you. Next slide, please. The property also contains a two-story boathouse. The most recent photo is on the left, and the historic photo is on the right. Next slide, please. There's a historic gazebo on the property. Next slide. A sleeping cabin. Next slide. And a storage building on the property, which I understand was used as an ice hut at one point. Next slide, please. Under the Heritage Act, the property may be designated if it meets one or more of the criteria outlined, which is detailed in the staff report. Staff have recommended that a decision on the application be deferred for the township to obtain a satisfactory heritage evaluation report completed by a qualified professional through the utilization of the funds in the township's heritage budget to an upset limit of $6,000. I have no other comments, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Councillor Zavitz.
Thank you, and through you. Perhaps a statement, but maybe the question is, why would we bring this forward to this body when confirmation is still being sought of all the property owners being supportive of the application? It seems it was brought by a co-owner, and yet if we were going to go ahead and do a study understanding if the group as a whole even wants this. I guess, especially given the sensitivity to heritage and what that can mean to a property's impacts. So I would ask that question of staff, I guess.
Ms. Walker.
Through you, staff were hoping to have confirmation that both owners were supportive of the application before today's meeting. That being said, we wanted to make sure we brought the application forward to get direction. So when staff does receive that confirmation, we can proceed with obtaining the heritage evaluation. Staff will hold off on proceeding with the heritage evaluation until we receive comments from both owners.
Mr. Sharp.
Thank you through you, Chair. Thank you, Ms. Walker. I just note also under the Ontario Heritage Act, you don't have to be an owner to submit an application. You'll recall a couple instances in the past where someone other than the owner applied to designate a property. So technically, the application was received and now we're bringing it forward. We will clarify the ownership piece when it returns, if it returns. Thank you.
Any other questions before I read the resolution? Moved by Councillor Nishikawa, seconded by Councillor Edwards. Be it resolved that a decision on the heritage designation application Mason be deferred for the township to obtain a satisfactory heritage evaluation report completed by a qualified professional through utilization of funds in the township heritage budget up to a limit of $6,000. Any discussion, committee? All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. The last, I think the last item is the discussion about the short-term rental delegation that we had this morning. Councillor Mazin, I think you have to recuse for that.
Thanks. I'm going to recuse from this, just given the
Very
nature
well.
of the discussion.
Statewide, please.
Indirect pecuniary interest. Thank you.
Indirect pecuniary interest. So we had a presentation by Ms. McCaw suggesting that that she has some challenges that's affecting her business. And I was just wondering, committee, can we have some comments on this and do we want to take any action? I think she's requesting some changes to how we do things. That's with Councillor Roberts and Councillor Burry.
Thank you, sir. I have a question to staff. When is the $1,000 due by the applicant?
Director Huff.
Thank you, Chair. So the way that we are processing the application, someone submits an application, staff do a cursory review to make sure that there's no major red flags. And at that point, we then issue the invoice to the applicants to pay just prior to issuing the license.
Thank you. And I do have one other question or suggestion, but I'll wait till I hear comments. Thank you.
No, we don't have a resolution.
Oh,
So
okay.
you can
So
make a comment. I mean, you know, so committee, we can make a resolution and it only needs to be, because it was on the agenda, we can make a resolution and it takes 50% to pass it. So if we want to have a resolution directing staff, we can do that.
Okay, so my thoughts are, before a resolution, is that I believe the issue was they can't advertise until they have a license. And the second one was they can't really rent until they have a license. So when the application is in the process. So I'm wondering, I'm asking my peers, can we make modifications with a resolution today to allow them to advertise without a license? And then possibly if they have an application in, they wouldn't be penalized as long as it was done in a time, they completed it in a timely manner. Those are my thoughts.
Councillor Roberts, we don't have a resolution in front of us.
Oh, so I'd have to.
So, but we can develop one if we so choose to. Councillor Zavitz, your thoughts.
And Councillor Roberts and I have spoken about this. I would be in support of supporting Mr. Roberts, Councillor Roberts, if, you know, I want to set this thing up for success. And, you know, it hasn't been without its trouble thus far. Now we're going to be talking about budget and we're going to be seeing what kind of impacts short-term rental will have on us in 2026 in terms of forecasting. So, I mean, I think in terms of setting it up for success, I mean, if there is a way to get this thing out of the blocks, working with the people who are going to be the actual renters, they're going to be our clients, right? They're in fact going to be our customers. So, you know, if there's a way to work with them somehow and make it palatable to this group, then I think we maybe should, other than saying January 1, bam, 2026, get a license, or, you know, maybe there's a way to work with it. Granicus, that software is probably well set up and we would know who is advertising, am I right? And who is not licensed. So we could, I don't know, just to, I don't think we should just dismiss it. I just think I'd be more free thinking in that, but that's to the groups.
Mayor Kelly.
Thank you, and through you. I think the problem is, as much as we all want this to be set up for success, it has to have a hard start date. The way the Granicus program is operated, at least the way I understand it's operated, it's constantly filtering the internet, looking for evidence of people trying to short-term rent their properties. It can't discriminate between those people who are just testing the waters and haven't found a customer yet and those people who have found the customer. There's no way to know when that would happen. So truly, Granicus, people here know it a lot better than I do, but the way I understand it, Granicus starts spitting out names and matching them against existing licenses or perhaps applications for license. And it's those that don't match that automatically get flagged for being out of bounds with the licensing agreement. I don't know how you can change that. If the real goal is to not make it expensive to find out nobody wants to rent your place, presumably maybe it would be easier to have somebody come back after a year and say, you can check the record, I didn't rent it once, I want my grand back, or $1,000, or credited towards next year. I suppose that might work, but it doesn't again, Director Huff can fill me in where I'm wrong here, but it wouldn't interfere with the process that we've already signed on to have the filter identify people who hit basically two characteristics. They're trying to rent their place and they don't have a license.
Councillor Zavitz?
Thank you. Supplemental and to the mayor's point, which is a great point. It seemed to me what I was hearing, what I have heard is more the notion they're trying to get to the 28 days, right? I mean, if they get 28 days, they don't need to be a licensor of here, a licensee. So in that regard, that's where this might sort of assist in that one little category. That seems to me that that's where they're trying to get to. And if there is some sort of leeway or understanding or working with them, because Granicus can point it out, but I think we as a township would then say, we would be the actual police of it, which may be an onerous task for the, you know, those 5 or 6 months until, I'm not so sure July is the month, but maybe mid-May or something. I don't know, but isn't that what she said? And I'm asking, I guess, whoever was really paying attention there, but did she not really, is she not really dialed into the 28 days and they don't need a license because they're going to rent it out for?
Director Huff, you're.
Thank you through the chair. My understanding from the conversation we heard is certainly that there are clients of hers that seek to rent for longer than 28 days and would therefore not be a short-term rental, but then augment those days that aren't rented with short-term rentals as necessary. And I think I heard a point that, you know, oftentimes those short-term rentals are done last minute and that the desire was not to get a license until that point in time. Of course, just from an operational perspective, it can take some time to process license applications. And so maybe for a very simple application, we can turn it around. But for at least the first year, you know, it may take, you know, 4 weeks, it could take 6 weeks, it could take a little bit longer than that. And so I think receiving a last minute license application so close to the season of licensing might be difficult for us to turn that around in time. That's my only caution there.
Councillor Burry, you had your hand up?
I did quite a while ago. Part of the issue here is in the licensing is ensuring that the property is safe. So the $1,000 in many aspects is to supplement our staff for going and finding out that the smoke detectors are working. And they may be in a cathedral ceiling. That doesn't matter. It still needs to know that it's working. So there's a pile of the pieces that I would think as a renter, one might want to know that their home is safe to rent, whether it be a short-term rental or a long-term rental. So I think some of this is a bit of smoke and mirrors and a cart before the horse potentially. It's growing pains. I'm with Councillor Zavitz. I'd like to see this set up for success. I think we have some discretion in bylaw on how things get charged, if you will. But that being said, if one is intent on renting, if it's for a long term and then supplementing with short term, $1,000 is probably a rounding error in order to get the property looked at by professionals that understand where the safety risk is, because that's really what it's about. We're trying to ensure that those people that are renting their properties, it is safe to rent to other people. We who enjoy our own property know where the little kinks are in our homes, wherever that may be, but a renter does not. So I think part of this process is to make sure that we're getting decent people renting the properties for longer term if we can get it, but it's not just the $1,000 for the short-term rental license. It's a much bigger issue that I think we're trying to get at, and I think we've actually done a pretty good job of it.
Councillor Kent.
Thank you. What bothers me is that we want these people to be licensed for the long term. They're running a business, whether they get their 30 days or they end up having to do a bunch of small things. You want, and you know, every year they're not going to have to do, am I right? They don't have to do the same process every year. So it's a one-time item. The goal here was to get the industry regulated so that we had an ability to respond if there was a problem, rather than not knowing who they are, not having the phone numbers. You know, that's the part of it. And I'm not really sympathetic to the fact that they want to save $1,000 and they don't want to do the paperwork till they're assured of their long-term rental in order to then do the short-term rentals. Get licensed so you have the ability to do it, and that's your business. And if you don't want to be in the business, then, or you want to do it differently, then you can walk away from it. But I mean, it's not really water off our back if they choose not to do it.
Thank you. To that point, and to a few of the really good points made, I would only be in favor of some sort of allowance in year one. Like I'm only talking 2026, January to pick a date, I don't know, May 1st, but only in 2026 would be that experiential year of everybody getting on board to the counselor's good point.
Any other comments? Mayor Kelly?
Thank you. Through you, just a real quick one. One of the other comments that was raised was the onerous task of completing the application. I've never even looked at it. Is it, anybody know, is that a 10-minute exercise or a 2-hour exercise, or what's, I guess it depends on the size and obviously location, but what?
Director Huff, can you take that one on? I think you had mentioned some numbers, but you might reiterate this for the mayor.
Thank you through the chair. Sorry, are you speaking about the applicants making the application? Right. Okay. So what we have had on our website for almost a year now, anticipating this start of the process, is examples of all of the things that would be required as part of an application form. So there is a site plan that is needed to be submitted. We also want, and that's the property, we also want a floor plan of the actual unit itself, and to have certain features identified, such as fire extinguishers, exits, that sort of thing. There is requirements to confirm ownership. There's some owner authorizations that are required. A lot of the things that are required with this application is very similar to what you would find, say, in a planning application. So, you know, we are and have been working quite closely with applicants, and some are more adept at using GeoHub for their applications. And certainly we know that our licensing officer is actually, in some cases, assisting with the preparation of some of those things. And so we're trying to make it as user-friendly as possible.
Councillor Roberts.
I did look at the application and I interpreted that I could hand draw my own layout. I don't need a professional to do it for me. And everything looked very simple because I was thinking of the small operator to do. So it wouldn't take very long to fill out, those requirements. So that's my opinion on it.
I have a question for you, Director Huff. We say we have to have the application in by Jan 1, but if you, let's say you don't decide you're getting into the business until March, and you anticipate you're going to be in the, you can apply in March, but you can't really start your advertising until you have the license. So I think I heard that we're not on a hard annual, we're on a year-to-year basis based on the day your application was accepted. Is that correct?
That's correct, Chair.
Councillor Edwards.
Thank you. And a couple of things. To the chair, if they have a home inspection, like a licensed home inspector, would we accept that if they check off all the boxes? So in other words, I so-and-so have checked this and it's ready. That would speed it up if they come in with the drawings and everything else like that. Like I'm looking at Jayne's Cottage with 125 clients. And they hired a couple of building inspectors. They could do all that and get it in. I'm looking at even if they lose 25, so you got 100, that's $100,000 in fees coming in.
Director Huff?
Thank you through the chair to Councillor Edwards. So the requirements of the application form come from the bylaw itself. And so certainly a home inspector could assist in providing that information, I would think. But we do need certain requirements to be submitted to us, like a site plan, the floor plan, et cetera. Whether that's completed by a home inspector or somebody else, an individual or any number of professionals, that would be acceptable.
Okay, because even if they're renting for 30 days or more, it's basically a business. And that, so they're competing with all our resorts and everything else like that. And that, I think they should have to have a license as well if they're doing that, and then flipping it, oh, I can rent it for a week here or there.
Mayor Kelly.
Thank you. And through you, my recollection was the delegate said $300 they charged to complete the application. So it really can't be that much to it. There's obviously people willing to help get it, get it in place. So, I mean, that's sort of a gauge in my mind of how uncomplicated it really must be.
Director Pink. CAO Pink, sorry.
Thank you. Just maybe to maybe assist some of the discussion, I just wanted to confirm my understanding or belief that the mayor, I believe, is correct. I do not believe Granicus has the ability to sort of screen those testing the waters versus those actually renting. And not only that, I think it would be a monumental loophole in the bylaw because every property owner we would approach without a license would say, I'm just testing the waters. So I don't think that's possible. I may have misheard the delegation, but I did speak to her prior to this meeting, and I don't believe I have, and I've heard it twice now. I'm not sure there is an issue. It's clear her clients or some of her clients, her ask is that they wish to rent for greater than 28 days. In those instances, she would not need a short-term rental license. Should they decide partway through that they wish to pivot, she can make an application at that time. As we've heard from previous questions, there's no date that says you have to have it. Once you start advertising, that application could be made at that time, should you wish to pivot to short-term rentals. And to just clarify, I think the previous questions, I can't speak for bylaw enforcement staff, but I do not believe, and I certainly wouldn't advise them to be laying charges for operating without a license should an application be in and be under review. So whether that review takes 1 week, 2 weeks, or even a month, I think we would work with that applicant and we would not be issuing charges should they decide to pivot in May, submit their application immediately, and it be under review in that interim period. So I don't believe there really is an issue here unless I'm misunderstanding the delegates' questions are asked.
Councillor Zab.
Thank you. Just for clarification through you, I do believe that the nub of this is people going out and attempting to advertise their property and to your point, testing the waters as soon as they get the hit, right? If it's 28 days, they're not going to apply for a permit. They're just going to run that likely. But it's when they get 2 or 3 short-term, okay, now I have to apply for my license. In that gap between when they put up their ad and when they get the bite, they wait, and we're going to go and find them on Granicus and find them. And I think am I wrong? I think that's exactly the piece.
CEO Pink.
I think if the ask is simply to not have to have a license for testing the waters, again, I don't believe there's a solution there. I think to the other questions, I think any business, knowing going into that business, there may be costs and your business may be successful, it may not be. But there's certain costs that you incur to test the waters. But I think her other ask or other clear ask was, I think the ultimate goal was to have long-term rentals. And should those not be successful, then we supplement or Should there be gaps, then we supplement. And I think the system is set up that it could accommodate that. There's not a requirement that you apply on January 1st if you're not advertising on January 1st. If you decide on May 15th that you're going to start advertising short-term rentals, then you should have that application in at that time. And again, I'm not going to speak for bylaw staff, but I have, and that certainly wouldn't be our typical approach to be issuing fines and penalties once an application is in. We work with those property owners. I hope that helps clarify.
Councillor Zavitz, one
If I
more.
might, yeah, thank you. And through you, I would then, based on the discussion, and I think the public who care are listening, that was a robust back and forth and discussion and content. So in this regard, I would withdraw my request to create a resolution on that regard. Thank you.
Thank you for that comment, because that was going to be my next question. Does anybody want to propose a resolution? I think the answer is, unless somebody else is, I think the answer is no. But I agree, it was a robust discussion and very key points were drawn out. So I'm sure Ms. McCaw will be watching and she will have heard all of our comments. Yeah, do we have any, next agenda item is it OLT staff?
Pardon me, Chair.
Yes.
I have a new business item.
Oh, thank you very much. Fire away.
Okay, and this shouldn't take too long. I learned, we all learned last month at the planning meeting that the township does not currently have a terms of reference document or policy for our planning studies. And in the spirit of continuous improvement, I asked the director of planning to provide insight, suggestions, or thoughts on how to address this gap and enhance the current processes.
Director House.
Thank you, Chair. To Councillor Roberts' question and comment, yes, staff are aware that the District of Muskoka has recently implemented a terms of reference process for their planning applications. So this provides, they have actually a number of terms of references for stormwater management reports, plan justification reports, traffic studies, et cetera. And so it seems to be a helpful process that it provides to consultants upfront the information that is required for them to provide as part of their applications. And the district in their process notes that in most cases, if that terms of reference is followed in the preparation of those reports, that report will not have to go through a peer review process, which ultimately is, again, of benefit to those applicants because it saves time and cost. And so we've been looking at that process. We think it's a good one. We would like to do something similar. And so we were contemplating bringing a report forward to Planning Committee in the fall time, speaking to that recommendation that be something that we similarly employ here locally. Thank you.
Councillor Roberts.
Thank you, Director. So through to you, Chair. With the plans that staff would like to do this, how do we go about supporting their effort?
I don't think we have to. I think we heard that staff is already committed that they're coming back later in the fall, unless you'd like him as a resolution.
Not required if staff is going in that direction. Thank you.
Okay. We finished on that one then. Oh, yeah, I just wanted, do we have anything to do on OLT and delegated staff approvals and things like that? Director Huff.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to let the Planning Committee know, although perhaps in the bodies of our reports, you may have seen it, that the township has received notice that a request for review has been submitted to the OLT relative to all of the appeals for our official plan. So the request for review is related to the Miller, Lipa, Carr, and the Our Muskoka components of the appeal. And at this point, that process is one where we just wait to hear from the OLT if they're going to act on it. And if we're required to submit information or participate in a hearing, we will do so at the OLT's request.
Thank you very much. Committee seeing no more business coming up. I'm going to read the final resolution of today. And that is moved by Councillor. I'll beg your pardon? After. Do you want to read the meeting? Okay, sorry. I am getting direction from our CAO. We're going to have a little special time here because it is Bryce's last official day. It's last committee meeting attendance. He will not be here next month. So if you could, can we get his department up here and anybody else who'd like to come up? Can you?
Yeah.
Where? Oh, they're all here. Okay, I'm sorry. They're all here. Okay. Well, so this is the last time Bryce will be Hess. What's that? Yeah. So I wanted to say a few words about Bryce and thank him, and I think the mayor will do the same. I realize now I've been working with Bryce for almost 7 years. I was thinking about it last night. Yeah, it's not just 2.5 years, it's 7 years because I was on the Committee of Adjustment. And Bryce has been here 10, almost 10, a couple of months short of 10. So I figured in that time, he has probably done up to 2,000 applications. That's an awful lot of applications. And so Bryce knows our township. He probably knows it well, almost as David. I'll talk about two parts of Bryce. One is his professional side, and the other is Bryce the person. Bryce is infallible and unflappable. Those are the two words I came up with. He is calm under any pressure. You never flinched once. You did give up once because it had been a long, long day. It was about 4:30 or 4:45, and you got one more very complicated question, and you just said, I can't. And that's the only time I saw you say, I can't do it anymore. But the questions we have given to you for all these years, you are thoughtful. And then there's occasionally when you need to come in very quickly. So we'll ask you a question. You can just see the thinking through all those official plans of bylaws and shaping your answer to make sure it's complete. And it always was. But there were times when things were getting a little off the rails and you saw it and you step right in and give us guidance. And your guidance has just been of the highest quality imaginable. It really has. And then there's Bryce. Has anybody ever seen Bryce unhappy about anything? Never. He is the happiest guy. One of the happiest people I know. He's always bright and cheery. And he brings with him a terrific amount of staff. You guys have a terrific team, and I think Bryce has a lot to do with that. So those are my thoughts about our friend Bryce. We're all sad you're going. But personally, I'm very excited for you because I know you're going to somewhere where you want to go. You're taking a whole set of skills that you have helped us, you have developed here, and you've helped us along the way. So I want to thank you very much. Here. Do you want to talk before the mayor or after the mayor? Or we could give you, I suggest we give you the last word.
Yeah. We certainly will give you the last word. Rob took a lot of words, so I will be brief. But let me just, I'm just going to talk about Bryce as a leader. When you first come into any new organization, you change jobs, you move anywhere in your career. My humble advice, my background, your first thing you do is pick out who's leading this place. Who are the leaders here? Who are the people I can learn from, be inspired from, be motivated by? And I have been working with Bryce much more so in the last 2.5 years or 3 years, but for 4 years before that as well. And it did not take me very long after I arrived here to see the leadership that Bryce provides, not just to his staff, and certainly to his staff, but to everybody around this table and anybody who actually wants to know what's going on and takes the time to ask a couple of questions. Bryce is a terrific leader, a really notable leader. I think the key note about leadership is that you inspire people to learn more, to do better, and to make this place better. And I think that's the best thing you can leave behind. You have a great track record. I'm not going to do the math in my head, how many files you've worked on. Your spirit, your positive outlook on life is endearing as hell. Even when I got to know just recently the hobbies that you have a very intriguing life. And I hope it's fun.
Yes, it's a little.
That's right.
Let's
Can't use the language here. He carves duck decoys. He hunts. He does all the manly stuff, all the stuff that you think that somebody who's, in the world of planning, you can't imagine what's going on behind the scenes. I think it's terrific. I think it's fantastic. The work that you've done here, the stuff that you've provided to this community is immeasurable during the time you've been here, 9 years and 3 months or 9 months, nine months that you've been here. But the real tribute to your success is what you're leaving behind. You have a team of people here that are curious, that are interested, that are courageous, that are bold, that are smart, that don't mind saying, I don't know. And to me, that's the highest standard of quality in a person who can admit, I've got something I want to learn. I'll come back with the answer. And I think a good chunk of what we have here working in your organization is because of your product. You don't toot your horn as often, maybe when you're calling a duck or something, but you don't toot your horn as often as you might. Your legacy is left in the work you've done to cultivate people in your wake who will do a marvelous job, I'm convinced. So the only thing I have to say left is good luck, best wishes. You'll always have friends here. Come back anytime you want. And God bless you. I think it's been great working with you, and I'm really looking forward to keeping tabs on you as you move forward. So thank you.
And the last word goes to Bryce. Oh, sorry. Oh, no. All right, one more shot.
I'll be even quicker, and I can't do better than Rob and the mayor. I just wanted to say a few things as well, because I've had the privilege and the pleasure to work with you for 10 years, Bryce. I've really enjoyed watching you grow into the valued employee you are here and the person you are. Thank you. Not to get too emotional, but yeah, I'll be honest. I led the planning team for many years, and you grow attachment to it when you lead a team, and it's you feel responsible for it. And I couldn't have found a better person to hand that off to. I couldn't have trusted anyone more. So I really appreciate that. But two things really stick out to me that I wanted to comment just on Bryce. I think one is his integrity. There was a lot of difficult applications, a lot of difficult messages that you had to deliver to council or to a property owner or to a community, just like today at a meeting we had. And you never waver from your principles, and you do what's right, and you stand behind it. And I really, really appreciate that, and you're consistent. And then just your attention to detail. I think everyone sees it and notices it, no matter how, from the most simple application to the most complicated development to our zoning bylaw to the official plan. You learn those things like the back of your hand. You understand it well. Everyone sees it and appreciates it, and I think you're hearing from council that they trusted your expertise, and it showed. So I think it's really clear that you care for your craft, you care for your team that are here, and you care for the community. And I can say on behalf of the township, the corporation, thank you for your years of service. And I think I can say for the community, thank you. And we wish you all the best.
Over to you, Bryce.
Well, thank you. And these are tough acts to follow. I have a couple just initial thoughts. I'm not sure I can leave because I don't think my head's going to fit through the door of chambers here. And also, if my mom's watching, I think she's going to be a pretty proud mom. So a planner's job is, in large part, to balance landowners' individual interests respecting the development of their properties with the public interest in matters like protecting public safety, protecting the environment, creating complete communities, and supporting a strong economy. This is no easy task and is often a thankless job. So I appreciate the opportunity today to hear Planning Committee's kind words. It's been an honor to serve 3 terms of council led by Mayor Furness, Mayor Harding, and now Mayor Kelly. I progressed from planner to senior planner to manager of planning, and I've always enjoyed the support of council. In my estimation, I've assisted many hundreds of members of the public, and although at times challenging, our feedback is not always in line with an owner's aspirations. I've always made it a point to meet people where they are, and I think this is one of the hallmarks of a good planner and something that I've tried to impress on my wonderful team. I have met some truly fantastic people throughout my time here at the township. Mr. Pink, our CAO and our fearless leader, thank you for hiring me, for believing in me, for your close mentorship over the last 10 years, and of course for your friendship. Thank you for your patience. No doubt I've tested it on occasion. And you have the respect of staff, the respect of the community, and it's been an honor working with you. So thank you, Mr. Pink. Ms. Huff has proven herself over the past year to be a talented and popular leader with innovative ideas on how best to position the Development Services and Environmental Sustainability Department for a strong future. I have great confidence in Ms. Huff's abilities, and the Planning Division is in good hands. So thank you, Ms. Huff. Ms. Lehman has been a great supporter of mine, and with her assistance, I've built a fantastic team. Our hires, if not still with the Planning Division, have taken up positions throughout the township or are having successful careers in planning elsewhere as graduates of our planning program, as I like to call it. Thank you, Ms. Lehman. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the township's incredible staff in general who have assisted me in various capacities, including of course, the planning team. What an incredible group of talented individuals. And I'd like to take this opportunity to underscore that the significant and valuable contributions of the admin specialists can sometimes go unnoticed because their contributions occur in the background and they happen so seamlessly. And without their commitment and expertise, the township's planning program would be inoperable. So I just want to thank them. So with that, I'm not great at goodbyes, but I guess this is farewell. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Bryce.
Where's the gift?
Moved by Councillor Zavitz, seconded by Councillor McIntyre. Be it resolved that the Planning Committee meeting adjourn at 11:53 a.m. and that the next regular Planning Committee meeting will be held on Thursday, October the 16th, 2025 at 9 a.m. via an electronically and in-person hybrid format from the council chambers in beautiful downtown Fort Carling, Ontario. All those in favor? Sure. Any opposed? No, thank you. Carrie.
What do we look like now? We used to have like.
Oh,